What's up, gang?
Ben,
I'm gonna get you guys going in about a minute. About a minute. Can you see my screen?
yep.
Awesome. About 30 seconds.
The Wiz.
The Wiz. I want to get a tattoo of a wizard.
So
Jake
fun.
got me this shirt. Maybe I'll wear it. Maybe I'll teach class in it. But it's basically a cat and it's dressed up like a wizard. It's the most adorable shirt I've ever seen in my life. I should have worn it today, actually.
You should have.
It's true. Let's get you guys going. You guys can all see my screen, right?
Yes, I'm gonna mute myself just so I don't bug you.
Let's have everybody mute yourself, please. Thank you so much. And then we'll do questions at the end. If you guys have any questions, you can also type the questions in the chat. And then that would be a good place too. So if I'm talking about something, a question pops up, drop it in the chat, and then we'll come back to it at the end. All right. Lunch and Learn, drop 10 to 20 pounds in 4 weeks. So this is a variation off the Green Faces diet, which we have done with people in the past. Green Faces diet is basically if it had a face and if it once was green or is green, then you can eat it. So basically all plants and vegetables, or excuse me, all plants, fruits, vegetables, stuff like that. Obviously, like any animal has a face, okay, so you can eat it. We have done this diet with people in the past. It's very broad, which tends to be a bad thing. We talk about losing weight. We want a broad diet. We talk about health because we want as many different varieties of nutrients coming into our system for a healthy system. When we talk about weight loss, we want the opposite. We want very narrow choices. We want a few choices. This is a big reason why when we give you guys your meal plan, we only have like 10 to 15 food items in each column. It's not that there is anything wrong with artichokes or tomatoes. It's that if we gave you a list of all the carbohydrates that you could eat, you'd be looking at like 1,000 food items, and you're only really going to be able to get like 10 to 20 of those food items in New England, right? So this Green Faces diet, a little too broad. And like I said, less choices typically work better for weight loss. So we're going to do a little spin on the Green Faces diet. So what we're going to be covering today, we're going to go over the diet, which is going to be plants, mostly fruit and animals. We're going to go over sleep. We're going to go over weight, steps, hydration, exercises, all the same stuff that we would typically go over in our regular meal plan. We're just going to fit it into this variation of a Green Faces. All right, so before we get into this, just kind of some background information, make sure we lay the groundwork. All diets work by creating a calorie deficit. Keto, paleo, carnivore, vegetarian, vegan, all those diets, they all work by just putting you into a calorie deficit, all right? There are no special foods for weight loss. If there were, you guys would already know what those special foods are because you would already have been told by us and you already would have been eating those foods, all right? Having said that, kind of sort of some special foods, but having said that, foods high in water content tend to be very filling. Fruits tend to be very filling. It's really hard to eat yourself to the point where you're stuffed with blueberries, okay? Foods high in protein tend to be very filling, which also tend to be very high in water. Foods high in fiber tend to be very filling. So if you were just to make a diet with just saying, okay, you want all the foods that are high in protein, all the foods that are high in fiber, and all of the foods that have a relatively large water content, I'm just going to eat those foods. You guys will do pretty well from a weight loss standpoint. If you're only eating foods that fall into the category above, it's going to be very difficult to overeat those foods. All right. Like I said, really hard to sit down and eat like 5 pounds of blueberries. It's really hard to overeat steak or overeat chicken. Okay. You will always have better results tracking or quantifying your food decisions. However, with this plan, you don't need to. All right. So a little bit more housekeeping. This diet is the big reason why we're talking about this diet right now is because this diet is best performed when you can get plants, specifically fruit, in season. There is nothing worse than eating blueberries in February that were grown in Mexico. I'm sorry, there's no flavor to them. They're bitter. They're just not very appetizing. You can go to Strawberry Farm. They just started doing strawberry picking. Jamie and I got like 3 pints the other day. We ate them in like 48 hours, right? So this is a great diet to do in season, meaning ultimately when we can get fruit as close as possible to our home. Okay. Clear your calendar for the next 4 weeks. That's a big one. Clear your calendar. If you really want to drop 10 to 20 pounds in the next 4 weeks, no barbecues, not going to parties. Okay. You're not going out on Friday and Saturday nights. Clear your calendar. 4 weeks, 28 days. Follow this plan to a T and you will see great results. No alcohol. Big one. No cheating. You should not feel restricted on this diet. A lot of times people, I did something the other day where basically I said, if you feel the need to cheat on your diet, you're probably doing it wrong. Okay. Your diet should not be so restrictive that you're eating bland foods. You're not enjoying the foods that you're eating. You should be eating in a way that you enjoy the foods that you're eating. Not too low in carbohydrates, because basically what the research says is a diet that's higher in carbohydrates versus a diet higher in fat tends to get better results. And that's basically just carbs taste a lot better than fat, right? So you should not feel the need to cheat because you should not feel restricted on this diet. You're going to be eating lots of fruit. Fruit is sweet. You shouldn't really have that sweet tooth. The only reason why you would really get, the only reason why you'd want to cheat on this diet is if you're just eating the exact same thing all the time, which we're going to talk about. All right, diet piece. So plants, mostly fruits. Now here's the issue with that. If I were to give you, let's say, a pound of broccoli and a pound of blueberries, there's a lot more calories in that pound of blueberries than there is in the pound of broccoli. In fact, I'm a big believer. I would much rather people eat fruit than vegetables. Fruit tends to be more appetizing. It tends to be more filling. It's sweeter, kind of scratches that sweet tooth a little bit. So for this particular diet, if you eat a diet that's high in vegetables, your calorie count will be very, very low. And that can oftentimes be a bad thing. That will motivate you to want to cheat on your diet if you're only eating like 500 calories a day. Nobody can eat 500 calories a day for 4 weeks. It's not going to happen. Okay. So mostly fruits for this particular plan. Any fruit or vegetable in any amount till satiety. Get 3 pounds of blueberries, sit down, eat as much as you want. And then at the point where you're like, geez, you know what? I don't really feel like eating anymore. I'm not really hungry anymore. You're probably going to still have like half of those blueberries left over. That's okay. Push them away, right? So you're going to eat to the point of satiety. Like I said, preferably fruit. We want to do 3 to 4 meals per day. You can do an extra meal. So if you're normally used to doing 3 meals per day, this particular diet, you could absolutely do a 4th meal and you'd be totally fine. Eat till satiated, not full. If you want to snack, you snack on veggies. Minimum of 6 cups of fruits per day. Okay, that's a big one. You guys can take pictures of this. This will obviously be in your in the Lunch and Learn group, so you'll be able to also go back and check this out. Okay, so minimum 6 cups of fruits per day. Maximum, no such thing. All right, I've never had to tell somebody they're eating too many fruits and vegetables. That's why they can't lose weight. Now, having said that, okay, I'll tell a real quick story. There was someone, this was a couple years ago. They were seeing great results. And about 4 months into the plan, they started to just not see any results at all. And so we're scratching our heads. We're like, what's going on? Did you change anything? And they're like, no. And we're like, all right, we need to see pictures of your foods. So this person starts sending us pictures of their foods. And some of their foods have like a whole pineapple in it and like a whole cantaloupe and like a whole grapefruit size of like half the size of their head. And so I asked them, I was like, what is this pineapple doing in your lunch picture? And they're like, well, that's my piece of fruit. Don't do that. Okay. So even though I'm telling you, I've never had to tell somebody that they're eating too much fruits and vegetables, you do have to use a little bit of common sense. You should not be able to sit down and eat a whole watermelon at one time. That should take you like 3 hours. Okay. You should not be able to sit down and eat a whole cantaloupe or whole pineapple at one time. All right. So as far as those maximum goes, there isn't really a maximum amount of fruit that you should be, or that you should not be eating, I guess. Variety. Don't just eat bananas. Don't just eat blueberries. This is not a diet where you want to eat the same thing all the time, because that will lead you to cheating, because you're going to get bored. Okay. So, you know, blueberries, strawberries, raspberries, bananas, obviously, oranges, apples, pears, lots of different varieties of fruits out there that you can be eating, right? Okay. So diet number 2. So again, plants, mostly fruits, and animals. Any animal is fine, but it must be meat. So it's got to be meat. Okay. 3 to 4 meals per day, as much as you want. Minimum, this kind of plays into the meal plan that we typically have you guys follow. So minimum of 6 ounces of per meal, between 150 and 200 pounds. Add 1 to 2 ounces if you're over 200 pounds. So let's say you're like 250, then you would be doing like 7 to 8 ounces of protein. And if you're under 150 pounds, you're going to subtract 1 to 2 ounces. So you're going to be doing more in like 4 to 5 ounces of protein. You really don't need to measure that out. This is more for like the people who are just like, no, I want to know how much protein to eat. Okay. Basically, you're going to eat as much protein as you need in order to feel satiated. Sometimes that might be 4 ounces. Sometimes that might be 8 ounces. That's totally fine. But I do want you to really hold true to that. Eat to the point where you're satiated. Not needed, but it will improve results. Protein shake. Anytime somebody adds protein shakes into their diet, a 99% chance they're going to have some kind of a positive improvement. Okay. Maybe it leads to a little bit more muscle being built. Maybe it leads to a little bit more fat loss happening. Maybe it leads to a little more energy that they have in the workout. Maybe it leads to less recovery, which means that they're able to work a little harder, whatever. But we've never had somebody put protein shakes into their diet and have negative things happen. Okay. And a big thing for this is variety. Variety. From a protein standpoint, you know, your big rocks are going to be like lean beef, chicken breast, lean pork, turkey, you know, bison or elk, if you can get that. That's going to be the big one, right? Like shrimp's great, whitefish is great, all that stuff is great. But as far as the protein goes, you only really have 5 main choices you're gonna be looking at. So try and cycle that around. So maybe like Monday is all chicken, Tuesday's all beef, Wednesday is all shellfish, Thursday is all white meat, whatever. Okay. All right, that's the diet. Okay, sleep. My favorite topic. Sleep like you have goals, not like you have a bedtime. Some people are cool with bedtimes, most aren't. Fall in love with sleep. I'm going to say that again. Fall in love with sleep. Sleep is like, it's like our superpower. It's when all of our healing happens. It's when we burn the most amount of calories from fat while we're sleeping. It's when we're building muscle tissue. It's when we're repairing all the stuff that we did to our body over the course of the day. You spend roughly a third of your life sleeping. If it wasn't that important, you would not spend that much time. You wouldn't spend that much time sleeping. Okay. If it wasn't that important, third of your life. So fall in love with sleeping. I saw the best results when I actually started to sleep more. Okay. So something to think about. And I already had pretty good sleep to begin with. You should be in bed, ideally asleep 1 to 3 hours after sundown, and ideally up within 1 hour of sunrise. All right. So let's say sun goes down at 7, then you should be asleep by 10. Let's say sun comes up at 5, then you should be up by 6. All right. And that is going to change, you know, especially when it's dark at 5. Okay. Technically, you should be going to bed a little bit earlier when it gets darker earlier. These 4 weeks are not the weeks that you work on your sleep. Okay. These 4 weeks are the weeks that you sleep as though you're getting paid to. So these are not the 4 weeks where you're like, I'm going to go to bed like, I normally go to bed at 10, so I'm going to try and go to bed at 9:30. No, I want you to go to bed by 8. That's what I want you to try and do. All right. Nothing is important. Nothing is more important than sleep. And you are burning the more amount of calories from fat when you are asleep. So if you go from sleeping 5 hours a night to sleeping 8 hours a night, you're literally for those extra 3 hours, you are burning way more fat over those 3 hours of sleeping than you would 3 hours of being awake. Okay. All right. Problem sleeping. These are a bunch of supplements that we've had really good success with: magnesium, vitamin D, 5-HTP, theanine, Not melatonin. I do not like people to take melatonin. A lot of people take melatonin. And the problem with that is that basically when you're taking the melatonin, you are taking an amount that could be up to 1,000 times more than what you naturally produce in your body. Okay. Sometimes melatonin will be in like 3 milligrams or 5 milligrams. You produce less than, I think it's like less than 0.2 of a milligram of melatonin to help you fall asleep. Okay, so what ends up happening is people take this melatonin. It ends up really doing some bad things in their body because their body naturally produces melatonin. And anytime that you take something that your body naturally produces, so if you take something from an exogenous source, an external source, and your body already produces that thing endogenously, there's a high likelihood that your body will start to downregulate its natural internal production because you're getting it from an external source. You're getting it from outside your body, okay? So I do not like people to take melatonin. 5-HTP is fantastic as long as you're not in any kind of SSRI, because you can get a serotonin deficiency syndrome. So if you are on any kind of SSRIs, you should not be taking 5-HTP. You can talk to your mental health provider or your doctor about that. But 5-HTP is what we found that works really well instead of melatonin, because your body will take 5-HTP and it will make melatonin out of it. And you cannot take too much 5-HTP because if your body doesn't utilize it, it just excretes it, right? Okay, sleep continued. Ultimately, stimulation is what's keeping you up. Okay, you're overstimulated. It is very hard to sleep if you aren't relaxed, and you will never be able to force yourself to sleep. Okay, so I mean, I'm gonna do a whole lunch and learn on sleep in the future. So this is just kind of like some big, kind of high ticket points that I want to go over. So bedroom like a cave by the ocean. Cool, dark, background noise. Could be a white noise, could be a fan, air conditioner. Obviously, you know, today is like 375 degrees outside. I'm actually cooking all my food outside today. So, you know, keep it cool, keep it dark, have some background noise. I love eye masks. I sleep with an eye mask every single night. I love it. Yeah, you guys get the idea on that one. No social media or stimulating shows 1 to 2 hours before bed. This is not the time to talk about your taxes. This is not the time to talk about politics with your loved one. This is not the time to watch a show that amps you up, okay? There's lots of different things about this. Sometimes people will say 3 hours. I think 3 hours is probably pretty unrealistic for somebody to be like, especially in the world that we live in now, where we're constantly bombarded with stimulation. For me to have you guys 3 hours before you go to bed, so let's say you go to bed at 10, so at 7 p.m., you're starting to like basically unwind and have no stimulation, I don't think is reasonable. But I do think that you can do that, you know, for like an hour before you go to bed, where you're just like, you're not on your phone, you're not cruising social media, you're just sitting there, you're watching like a chilled out show, and you're basically just trying to de-stimulate yourself, okay, so that you can fall asleep easier. So we sleep with a chili pad. A chili pad is basically, so we have a queen bed and we have this pad that sits on top. And what this pad does is it circulates water. And the cool thing about that is that I can keep my side of the bed warmer if I need to, and Jamie can have her side of the bed cooler. Temperature is a very, very, very strong sleep aid. If your bedroom is too hot, you won't be able to sleep. If your bedroom is too cold, you won't be able to sleep. It's got to be just right. So the great thing about this particular chili pad unit that we have, it just circulates water underneath in this pad. And that way you can really control the temperature of your mattress, which is for us huge. If you guys are interested in the chili pad, we do have a, I think it's like a 20 or 25% discount code. They're expensive. 20-25% off can save you like a couple $100. And we've been using it for probably, well, it was pre-COVID. Might have been using it for 10 years. It's awesome. We love it. Sometimes we'll actually even travel with it, which is a huge pain in the ass because it's kind of big, but that's how much we love it. All right, weigh yourself. Let's make sure the plan works. If you don't weigh yourself every day and track it, how do you know if the plan is working? You do not. So weigh yourself every day and write that number down, either in the training app preferably, or on a piece of paper, just so that you are tracking it. Take some before pictures and upload them into the app. Plan on taking some after pictures. Set a date. Weigh yourself daily. Set a timeline. These are the next, for the next 28 days. I'm going to start on July 1st, and I'm going to end on July 28th. Calendar. Mark it out. Okay. Get your begin date, get your end date. A lot of times people will be like, hey, I want to lose 20 pounds. I say, great. By when? And they're like, I don't know. No, that is not how you want to go about your goals. That'd be like saying, like, I want to be a millionaire. Great. By when? I don't know. That doesn't sound very convincing. If I say I want to be a millionaire by the time I'm 50, I now have a sense of urgency because I'm 45 right now, right? So you need to have urgencies when we talk about goals. There's a great line. Let me make sure I get this right. Goals are dreams with timelines. Goals are dreams with timelines. Okay. So get that goal, create a timeline, and now take that dream into a goal because you have a timeline. Invite your friends, family, frenemies. Frenemies are your friends / enemies, right? You got to keep those guys close. Tell everyone, more accountability, the better. Anytime that you can increase your accountability, you always will see better results because you have more accountability, right? So tell everybody, hey, July 1st to July 28th, I'm going to try and lose 20 pounds in that 4-week period. You want to do it with me? Here's the diet I'm going to follow. Okay, steps. Oh, let me make sure I got everything. Yeah, cool. Steps. For the next 4 weeks, we'll be ramping up steps. If you know your current average, then every week you're going to add 15%. So if you have an average of 6,000 steps on week 1, you go 6,900. Week 2, you go 7,935. You get the idea. So every week you up by 15%. If you don't know what your steps are, which you should know, you're going to take 1 week to figure out your average. So just track your steps every single day, wear a watch so that all of your steps are being tracked, figure out your average. And then the following week, you increase that by 15%, and that would be your week 1, okay? When I say don't walk more and don't walk less, I'm specifically talking about within the context of figuring out the average. So if you don't know what your average is, that is where I'm specifically saying in order to get your average, don't walk more and don't walk less, because then that wouldn't be your true average, all right? All right, hydration. Normally, we like about half body weight in ounces per day. So if you're 200 pounds, that'll be 100 ounces of 0-calorie beverages. Remember, all beverages count towards that goal. Yes, coffee does make you pee, but it is not going to make you pee out more than the volume of what you're drinking, okay? So coffee does not dehydrate you. Just because something makes you urinate does not mean that it dehydrates you, okay? That's a diuretic, right? Something can be a diuretic and not dehydrate you. Diuretic just means it makes you pee, right? So normally we like half your body weight in ounces per day, so 200 pounds, 100 ounces. For this plan, because fruit is so high in water content, which kind of side note, today's really, really hot, okay? I did jujitsu this morning. I probably literally sweated out a gallon of water in an hour period, all right? I normally consume about 100 ounces of water per day. So for me today, I would need to consume over 200 ounces of water to replenish the water that I lost in jujitsu this morning, and also just to my normal water intake, okay? 200 ounces of water for me, I'm gonna be peeing every hour. That's not realistic. So on this particular day where I have to consume a lot more fluid, a lot of my meals are gonna be fruit, right? Because fruit is very, very high in water. So that is one way that you can hydrate yourself. If you have a hard time drinking water, you can eat a little bit more fruit, okay? So for this plan, instead of 1 ounce per 2 pounds of body weight, it will be 1 ounce per 3 pounds of body weight because of all of the water that's in fruit. You don't have to consume as much, water because you are getting more water in your, the fruit you're gonna be eating. Continue to salt your foods to taste. If you are just drinking water without paying attention to your electrolytes, you're going to be going to the bathroom every hour and that water is literally going to be running through you, and that in turn is going to be leaching out of not a lot of nutrients in your system. So always make sure that you're salting your foods to taste. That salt will help us retain some of that water. There isn't anything bad with retaining water per se, okay? Too much water, obviously different story. So exercise. Honestly, it helps in the 4 weeks, but only if you've already been doing it. So if you have been working out twice a week or 3 or 4 times a week, whatever, once a week, great. Just continue doing that. If you haven't been working out, these 4 weeks are probably not the weeks that you want to add exercise in, okay? So if you have a workout routine already established, just keep doing that. These 4 weeks are not the time to jump into a 4-day-a-week workout program if you haven't already been working out. Don't expect to have killer workouts, and you are eating to lose weight, not eating to work out. All right, so when I say don't expect to have killer workouts, when you are eating to lose weight, that means that you're eating in a calorie deficit, okay? That means that you are limiting the amount of energy that your body has coming in. Well, if you then are turning around and you're like, okay, I want to have a really hard workout. I want to get like my heart rate up and I just want to burn a lot of calories, but you're not eating a lot of food, you're not going to have a great workout. Okay, so anytime that you're in a calorie deficit, your workout intensity has to go down because you don't have as much energy to put into that workout. That's a very important thing. Sometimes, we'll have people and they're like, I really want to work out hard. And we're like, okay, great, but you want to lose weight, right? And they're like, yeah, but I really want to work out hard. Well, you can't work out that hard if you're eating to lose weight because you're literally limiting the thing that is going to allow you to work out hard, which is going to be the calories, right? A big reason why I say these 4 weeks are not necessarily the time that you want to start working out. If you're not working out right now and you're like, you know what, I'm going to work out 3 days a week for the first week. Because remember, you only got 4 weeks. What will most likely end up happening is that first week, you're going to be pretty sore. And that first week of you being sore, that means that you're going to walk a little bit less because you're going to be sore. It's going to be tough to move around. You're also going to want to eat a little bit more because you're not used to that activity. You're also going to be ultimately spending a lot more time doing things that probably aren't going to give you a huge return on your investment. In other words, I would much rather let's say you don't know what you're going to eat for the next 2 days. I'd much rather you skip your workout and prep your meals for the next 2 days, okay? That's how important meal prep is. That's how important the diet piece is over the exercise piece. Oops. Goal of the workout in these 4 weeks, so again, if you are working out, the goal of the workout in the 4 weeks is to burn some extra calories. It's to motivate the body to preserve muscle tissue. And it's help with mood and sleep. Okay, that is the purpose of the workout over the next 4 weeks if you are working out. The workout should be strength training, not cardio. 2 to 3 days a week is great. More, probably not that great. A funny thing happens, like I tell people, the person that chases 2 chickens never catches one. So if my goal is weight loss, that means that every single decision that I make within the context of that goal needs to be 100% aligned with losing weight. So if I say, hey, I'm going to go for a 2-hour bike ride today, and I go, great, how's that going to help you lose weight? And you're like, well, it's going to burn some extra calories. Okay. In the grand scheme of things, burning some extra calories will certainly help with weight loss. But if you were to instead just not go on the bike ride and not worry about burning those extra calories and just eat a little bit less calories, you're going to see better results. I'm going to talk about Lunch and Learn in the future is going to be how exercise impacts your metabolism, how exercise impacts your appetite. Spoiler alert, basically, when you exercise, your appetite goes up. So you're more likely to eat more food when you exercise. That's not a bad thing, okay? That's not a bad thing at all. Because as you're exercising, we're trying to build muscle. And we also need calories in order to replenish the energy that we're burning in the workout, while also rebuilding all of those tissues that we just tore down in the workout, right? But if you're eating to lose weight, it's unlikely that you're going to build a large amount of muscle in the workout because you're not giving your body a lot of calories. So if you're eating to lose weight and you think that you're going to build a lot of muscle, you're chasing 2 chickens and you probably won't catch one. So you are much better off just saying, hey, for the next 4 weeks, I'm focused on losing weight. So all the behaviors that you want to do should be in line with the goal of losing weight over the next 4 weeks, right? All right, gang. Questions. Hold on, let me turn my screen off here. Let's see. All right, I got a question. Jumped in. You got it, Kevin. Okay. Bear with me, guys. Trying to figure out how to turn my share screen off. Oh, there we go. All right, cool. So, anybody have any questions? I'm going to check our training account to see if anybody's sent questions through there. But if you have any questions, let me know while I'm checking our training account. All right, cool. No questions there. Gang, you got any questions? Sandy, Lori, Cornelia, any questions?
I was gonna say, like, if you were trying to like spread it out and not do it 4 weeks, what would be your recommendation? Just like our normal meal plan and just do it over time as opposed to just a crash course?
So meaning
I'm in
how
the car,
would you,
sorry.
yeah, so
Like,
how would you adjust this meal plan to fit inside the normal one?
yeah, exactly.
Just do it.
I want to be realistic because like you're losing like a lot of weight fast, but then how do you get to maintenance and stuff like that? So I'd rather do it slow and not lose, you know, and do it right.
Mhm.
You know, what's your recommendation? I'll meet that.
So with this weight, you are going to have, when you go off of this plan and you go back to eating like normal, you know, rice, pasta, potatoes, just like normal stuff that you're going to have a weight rebound. Okay. Because one of the ways that this plan works, because it's high in fiber, because it's high in water weight within the foods, and because it's high in protein, you're going to drop a lot of water weight. Remember, 70% of you is water. 70% of my bicep is water. 70% of the fat on my ass is water. Okay. So dropping water weight is unavoidable. That's not a bad thing to drop water weight. So you are going to lose a large amount of water weight with this particular program. It's also very anti-inflammatory. So if you do notice that you're carrying like a lot of bloat or a lot of inflammation, you're going to see that disappear. Now, as soon as you know, okay, now it's October. Now we can't get fresh fruit anymore. I'm less inclined to eat berries and fruit because we can't get it fresh and it just doesn't taste as good. I would go back on my other plan. I'll probably gain a little bit of weight doing that, but it's going to be water weight. In terms of how to implement this into like your lifestyle in general, basically, I'm a big believer in seasonal eating. So if it's easy for you to get really, really cheap, good tasting fruits and vegetables, then that should be the brunt of your diet. If it's not easy for you to get that stuff, like in February, then you probably really shouldn't be focusing on eating a lot of fruits and vegetables in February when we can't get it in New England. You probably should be focused more on eating tubers, rice, stuff like that, stuff that's easy to get, right? So if you want to implement this diet into just your everyday life, it's totally fine to do so. Breakfast and lunch is going to be protein and fruit. Dinner could be protein fat, protein carb, however you want to do that. But you would essentially just follow this plan. It's totally fine. And then when you can't get fresh fruit anymore, then that's when you start to transition off the plan. Because like I said, you're not going to be wanting to eat a large amount of fruit in December or January when it's just not that appetizing. It's not that sweet. Doesn't taste that good. More expensive, stuff like that. So you could absolutely just plug this into your plan, and basically 2 to 3 meals every single day is just fruit and protein. That is typically how I eat during the summer months. Today it's going to be cottage cheese, yogurt, blueberries, and nuts. I did a post about that the other day. My second meal is going to be hamburger and raspberries. I'm going to mix it together. And my first meal is actually a sandwich with a banana. So does that answer your question, Cornelia? I lost her. I guess she didn't like my answer. What do you got, Sandy? You got to unmute yourself.
There.
There you go.
Okay, so is it okay to mix up the proteins at the meals?
Yep.
Like you can do a little bit of cottage cheese, a little bit of beef or something, and then your carb, can you do that?
Mhm. Yeah, that's totally fine.
Oh, well,
If-
that opens up a whole new door.
If you're gonna do this plan, then it would be like 3 ounces of burger and 3 ounces of chicken, okay? If you were gonna do like our normal plan, then that could be, okay, 3 ounces cottage cheese and 3/4 cup of cottage cheese, 3/4 cup of Greek yogurt. Or 3/4 cup of cottage cheese and 3 ounces of chicken, right? Totally fine. Totally fine to do that.
Cool. Oh, good. Oh, that really, okay, thank you.
You're welcome. You're welcome. Guys, got any other questions? All right, cool.
Yeah.
All right, gang, I'm gonna let you go. Enjoy this beautiful cold weather that we're having right now. And I will see you guys in class.
Okay,
Thanks, Ben.
Very
thanks,
well.
Ben. We'll see you tomorrow.
Yep.